In XCOM Chimera Squad, you command a superpowered SWAT team on a mission to keep the peace in a city on the brink of anarchy. A lot here will be familiar to XCOM fans. You gather resources and unlock technology on a strategic map, and dive into turn-based tactic battles to secure objectives and beat down the Resistance menace. The war is over, and humans, aliens and hybrids have reached an uneasy peace. In City 31, they live side by side, but there are still restless groups who want to continue the grudges of the Advent War. Chimera Squad is a special forces unit designed to cripple those resistant movements one by one. There's no world map here. The game focuses purely on City 31's 9 districts. You'll have to manage levels of unrest in each district to keep the city's anarchy level low. If anarchy maxes out, it's game over.
Time to breach.
To save the city, you need to investigate 3 resistant groups one at a time. You take on missions, gather intel, research new gear, unmask each enemy's group leader, and then take them out in cinematic final missions. Don't be fooled by the smaller scale. This is still a lengthy, chunky tactics game. Missions are much shorter than XCOM fans will be familiar with, however. Some are just a few rooms packed with enemies. Significant missions are chains of 3-room clears, each with a chaotic breach phase in which you position your squad at different entrance points. As each squaddie smashes into combat, time slows to a crawl. The camera shifts to an over-shoulder perspective with a blurry fisheye filter making it impossible to gauge the layout of the room. But switching focus between enemies lets you choose which ones to pick off. Chimera Squad deliberately sends you in blind. It's a very different dynamic to XCOM 2. That game is about advancing efficiently and positioning properly across large maps. You manage odds and control the situation as much as possible. Chimera Squad throws you a scenario and shouts, "Catch." Once the breach phase ends, your squad automatically moves to cover and a traditional XCOM fight ensues. They take cover intelligently most of the time, but it's another point where the game takes tactical choice away from you. Learning to shrug it off and go with it improves the experience, but you're always a victim of circumstance in Chimera Squad. You don't get to create your own characters either. Each of the 11 available heroes have unique abilities, and you'll recognise some archetypes from XCOM 2. The gunslinger, the medic with a healing drone, the shotgun maniac. This approach sacrifices one of XCOM's greatest features, the ability to name your soldiers and bond with them over the course of a campaign. There are advantages though. Each character is voiced with a story told through cartoon vignettes which efficiently lay out the stakes and do a good job of describing the new world order with humour and character. There's tensions too. Some of the hybrids on your team may have fought on the enemy side in the Advent War against the humans, with the events of XCOM 2 looming over City 31 throughout. Perhaps the most powerful hero at your disposal, the Psionic Verge, is naturally a suspicious post-Advent figure. He can shoot, but he mostly uses his mind to target enemies, turning them against each other and themselves.
Contact.
The heroes are easy to like, but there's not as much experimentation space as in XCOM, especially when fights are just a few rooms long. It'd be great if heroes had some of those powerful unique skills unlocked already, so you could switch them around and play with combos right away. The game does remove XCOM 2's health pool race at least, which demanded you level up your armour and weapons to keep up with the enemy's ever-expanding health bars. Keeping health pools and damage output stable leaves you free to swap in inexperienced heroes without too much loss of power. There's also no base building, but you still need to research technology, buy gadgets and gather 3 resources: Illyrium, Intel and dollars. You also need to deploy field teams on your city map to mine resources and keep unrest down. Though the cool visual armour and weapon upgrades of traditional XCOM are missed. Without them, the strategy layer feels like fuzzy, abstract number crunching. Separately, you can deploy squad members to work on Spec Ops, which sounds exciting, but it's just another way to hoover up resources. Without base building and XCOM 2's lavish presentation, it all feels too much like admin.
Shouldn't have bothered.
It's still an involved tactics game though, a curious XCOM experiment with a neat setting that should be explored more. It's easy to imagine a more elegant and streamlined version of Chimera Squad, but you still get that familiar feeling of elation when a combo comes off, or annoyance when a 90% shot misses. In that sense, it's still classic XCOM.
Silence devour